Alright guys, today we're going to do us a little wood turning project. So first order of business is we got a piece of wood. This is chopped up from the tree that fell and messed up my fence. We've chopped a chunk out of it here. And the first thing you really want to do is going to be taking off knots like this one, and we're going to you got to take all the bark off. We got a hammer and a chisel. And we're gonna knock all the bark off. Bark's always got a lot of nasty stuff in it. You just want to take it off. It's just gonna be easier to do it that way with a hammer and a chisel before you start turning it down. So we'll go ahead and do that first. Well, definitely not my best job of debarking, but this wood's still kind of green, so it's really hard to get that stuff off of there. And until it's, once it's dried out, you can practically pull it off with your hands. But anyway, it'll have to do. What you can try to do is take a few measurements across and try to find the center as best you can, and then just fasten it. So I'm going to center this up, screw it down, and then we'll put it on the lathe. Alright, so this chuck screws on, and then once you've got your chuck screwed on, what you'll see a lot of people do is they'll spin it, which you got to spin it just to make sure you got clearance on everything first. And then another thing too is if you can notice the imbalance in it, then you can loosen this back up and try to shim it and straighten it back out. But I don't think we're really that bad. It's just the odd shape of it that's really making the difference. So we're probably going to have quite the vibration here. But well, we got this screws on this end, and then you just loosen up your other end. And basically what we have here is, if you turn this, it'll press out. I don't know if you can see that. If you turn it, it presses out like that. So we'll have it all the way in, and then we'll come in like so, and then we'll tighten this down, and then we'll press it in just a little bit, just to hold it steady. And so there you go. So whenever you're setting your fence, you're going to want to try to get it close, but you don't want to hit the piece, obviously. Set of tools over here that haven't been used in a while. And this will be our rough gouge here. All right, guys. So here's what we're at. Obviously, we're really imbalanced here, and it's causing a huge vibration. And I really don't have any good way to solve it. I got my lathe is a bench top, and it's got these little rubber legs. I took those out, and I got some big lag screws here that I fastened it to the bench with, and so it's not going anywhere. But it's still vibrating too much. It's shaking the whole entire workbench. And I don't have a variable speed on my lathe. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm going to attack the high spots first. Find the high spots and hit those. And it's pretty janky, but I'm just gonna, toggle the on and off to just slowly work away at these high spots, slowly but surely. Another thing is, before you start turning down, you're gonna need safety glasses, preferably a shield, but I don't have one. And you're gonna need a respirator or a mask. And that's going to be key, because those two are going to be key, because it's going to put, this wood turning makes a mess. I mean, it gets stuff everywhere. There'll be chips flying.
$2,000 years later.
All right, guys. That took forever, but it really wasn't that bad. So you can see here, we rounded it off. You can see where we haven't touched this side yet, but we've dug into, this side where we balanced it. And it's still got some more work to do, but it's in a pretty decent spot now. Where you can at least do it now, just leave it running. Alright, so we got the outside in decent shape. It still needs some work, but we'll see. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we're getting there. There's a couple concerns here. We got some rather large cracks in the wood here. So we'll see how that all works out. It just is what it is. Hopefully they don't chip out and cut all the way through. But it wouldn't surprise me if they do. So we're just going to go with it. Next, we're going to try to drill out the middle here. And I just have this chuck attachment that just taper locks in. And like I showed you guys before, we go in and this will be spinning, and we'll just go in, and then we'll adjust this up forward, and we'll just drill as far as we can down in there. So there you go, we got our hole drilled. So next thing I'm going to do, take my scale here, measure the depth, and then I'm going to mark the depth to where I'm going to cut at the end of this scale here. I'm going to leave a little bit on the bottom, but And I'll part it right there. And basically what I'm going to do for that is I've got a tool here that you use for that. And I'm just going to cut about probably 80% of the way through, 90% of the way through it with this. And then I'll finish it up with a handsaw and just cut the rest of it off and then sand down the nub that's left. But first thing after I mark this is going to be to clean all this up. You know, I'll probably take a bunch more off of this and maybe shape it a little bit, give it a little form, and clean up this front, sand everything. So that's what we're going to do next. Alright guys, so we had a situation. I don't know if you can see this, but our piece of wood broke and it cracked the entire length of the wood, which turned it into a death wobble. So I don't know, but I was able to take the Sawzall and saw off the end of it, because I just you couldn't do anything with it on the lathe anymore. Saw off the end of it, and then I was able to chuck that back up using the let me show you. So I was able to save this bit here and make a nice cup out of it. Woo! So, and it's pretty cool looking, really. It's got its own character. And yeah, but as you can see, I didn't get to do as much sanding as I would have wanted. And the only reason that I was able to even salvage this is because I was able to cut it off, and then I swapped the drill over to the other side, the spindle side, and then I put it in here like this, because it fits that hole nicely. So then I was able to bring this tailstock in to hold it up against the drill, and then I was able to finish sanding it up a little bit and try to make the bottom a little more even. So, but it worked out, I guess. It's a neat little cup we got. So, thanks for watching. Shit.